Is it another case of increasing fan violence at professional sporting events, or just a huge lapse in security? Sunday, the anniversary of September 11th attacks, a fan got into the MetLife Stadium for the Jets-Cowboys game, and folks, he had a stun gun. Now, a fight then broke out. This man takes out that stun gun. Here's what happened next. The man in the middle of it has been identified as Larry McElvey. The big question today, how did he get into that stadium with a stun gun? You know, we're going to keep showing this. You can see the little red light flashing from the stun. By the way, his son is a DJ on Power 105. He addressed the whole issue on his radio show.
The million-dollar question is, how did he get a taser in the MetLife Stadium? I'll tell you how. On his hip. See, he's from Mount Scottney, South Carolina, so keeping pepper spray on your keychain or a pocket knife or a taser on your hip isn't a big deal. That's what country folk do. He didn't think nothing of it, and obviously neither did security at MetLife Stadium, who did the pat-down because they let him in with it. He didn't sneak it in. It was right on his hip. So you mean to tell me 10th year anniversary of 9/11, high-level threat of terrorism, former President George W. Bush in the building, all this alleged heightened security, and my father was allowed to just walk in with a taser?
Wow, security didn't think anything of it on the 9/11 anniversary, bringing in a taser to the stadium. Well, MetLife Stadium gave us this statement. It says, quote, a man entered the stadium with an illegal taser the size of a small cell phone in his pocket. Procedures for pat-downs established by the NFL and used at every game were in effect at all entry gates. What does that mean? What's going on here? Well, from Las Vegas, KLUC radio host Chuck Buchanan and former police detective Steve Kardian, he's also with us, and Steve is a former taser instructor, and Steve has actually been tased in training. So this is it's good that we have you both with us, because let's talk about this a little bit. You know what? I'm okay with emptying my pockets on the way into the stadium. I used to think it was a hassle, but more and more I go to basketball games, football games around here, they make you empty your pockets. You know what? I'm safe in that game. Steve, what do you think about the security measures here? Was there a lapse here?
Well, Ryan, let's look at, there is a limited intrusion into a person's body. In other words, they're generally checking the high-risk area, they're checking their belongings. They're not doing what we would consider a thorough law enforcement search. They're not going into the crotch region. They're not violating anybody's personal space, if you will. So the search is limited, and things can get met. I know officers that were down there. Security was high. There were helicopters in the air. There were bomb-sniffing dogs all over the place. I do think that they need to review their security policy, because you can take a device like that, slip it down your pants, and get in through security.
And Steve, this is what I keep hearing people talk about when they talk about security at sporting events and things like this. They say we're always looking at the bigger issues, and we always miss the small ones. And the small ones are the ones that can do the most damage. How do you need to revamp this procedure? Do they need to have people empty their pockets, show everything, do a thorough pat down to make sure we all remain safe?
Well, they do a reasonably good search, but once again, it's the high-risk area, around the waist, around the back. Sometimes they roll down towards the ankle, sometimes they don't. I do think that the policy needs to be reviewed. Remember, these are not law enforcement personnel that are conducting these searches. These are civilians, and they have very limited training, so they sometimes don't know exactly what to look for.
Now, I want to take a moment to look at the other side of this, which is Larry's perspective. He's in the stadium. Yes, he has that taser. But, Chet, here's the problem I have. It is this rising instance of people going into stadiums. They wear another football jersey. Far as I hear, this man didn't do anything to provoke the other people. He's wearing a Cowboy jersey. The other guys from the Jets don't like it. They're not letting him go to the bathroom. What is going on in our stadiums with this fan-on-fan violence because one dude's wearing a football jersey, not doing anything to you, just enjoying the game like you are?
I think the issue is far greater than this. Remember, it's the anniversary of 9/11. He didn't stand for the national anthem, and his son on his radio show this morning in New York defended him and said, well, he's a Jehovah's Witness. He has that religious right. But there's also respect. And once again, you're on the 10-year anniversary of 9/11. You're in the Jets' home stadium. You're in New Jersey, but you're in New York. Respectfully, you should stand up. You should take off your hat. Yes, you have the right, because you're a Jehovah's Witness, not to do that. But out of respect, you should do that. There's a Marine Corps war veteran that took offense to it. And one thing led to another, and we also understand that during the flag unveiling and everything, when the stadium is stone silent, that Mr. McKelvey was speaking loudly. I don't know that. I wasn't there. But that's the report that we get. So you know what? If I'm a guy that's defended our country and I'm there on the 10th anniversary of 9/11 and a guy won't stand for the anthem and he won't take off his hat and he won't shut his yap hole while they're unfurling the flag, I might have an issue.
Rex Ryan, I truly believe he created a hostile environment for Cowboys fans by saying, and I quote, "I don't recommend fans come to the game wearing Cowboys gear." That's a threat. And even if you took it back, Rex Ryan, the seed was planted.
Wow. All right, that's the son of the suspect in the fan violence at Sunday's Jets game, the son of the man who used that taser on 3 others because he said people were on him because he was wearing a Cowboys jersey at a Jets game. Now back with me, Chet Buchanan and former police detective Steve Kardian. All right, Steve Kardian, give me this thought. Steve, what do we need to do at football games? Because Chet made some really good points. I do see the point of it's 9/11. Please stand or at least respect those around you. Please, please. But the violence issue is still there, and that bothers me. What do we need to do to keep people safe in stadiums? Because you know what? I agree. You know, you're going to catch some heat for wearing an opposing jersey in the stadium. But we want people to be able to enjoy the game. We want even kids to be at that game. And that's hard to do if we're going to have these kinds of fights.
It's become problematic, Ryan, very much so. We've seen across the country what's occurred in our stadiums nationwide. This was a day of remembrance. This is a man that chose to bring a stun gun, which is illegal in the state of New Jersey and in the state of New York, into a major domain where there were thousands and thousands of people. Then he got into an argument and elected to taser 3 people. So in my mind, his actions were completely moronic. But there is problems across the United States in stadiums. There's got to be more due diligence by security. Law enforcement has to get involved more inside the stadium rather than outside the stadium.
You know, I couldn't agree with you more. You do ask for those dangers, but at the same time, there's got to be more activity. So where do we go from here? Do you think that we'll continue to see this kind of violence, or do you think this is a more isolated incident stemming from, I think, what you said, which is a man who wasn't really being respectful and also bringing an illegal weapon into a football game, which is never the right thing to do?
Right. No, these incidents are all very unfortunate, but for the most part isolated. If you take the amount of people that come through our stadiums across the country in the United States, I would have to say you're fairly safe. There's a lot of catcalling going on. There's going to be a lot of jealousy if somebody wears another jersey from another team into your home team. But overall, the stadiums are safe. They do need review. They do need more law enforcement inside. They do need more spotters to identify potential threats inside the stadium.
All right, Steve Kardian, appreciate you. Also great to have Chet Buchanan on. Hopefully our stadiums are getting safer so people can go and enjoy, not fight. Thank you so much, folks. That's all for now. I'm Ryan Smith.